Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to practice more on identifying these angle pair types, and we're also going to talk about the transversal today, and then we're also going to look at the relationship between some of these. Okay, so on the first one, we're looking at this table, so angle 1 and 6. Now, as I look up here, don't circle these on yours because it's going to turn into a mess. I'll be able to erase it real easy. So 1 and 6 are right there. Now, as you look up here, these angles down here, do they have anything to do with 1 and 6 up here? Do these angles have anything to do with this? No, they don't. So if I were you, if it would help, like take a small little piece of paper. Don't do this on yours. I'm just mimicking putting a piece of paper. Just lay a piece of paper over those, and it may help you to see this a little bit better. Okay, but we've got 1 and 6 here. Now again, don't shade this on yours because it'll turn into a mess. Don't shade anything on yours. Okay? But like there's the two walls. This is the interior right here. Remember, the interior is everything between the walls. So are 1 and 6 on the interior or exterior? Exterior. 1 and 6 are both on the exterior. Okay? Now, so I know it's an E, exterior. The question is it same side exterior or alternate exterior? Alternate. Okay, good, because if you'll notice 1 is above, 6 is below. If it were same, like 12 and 6 are same side, 1 and 5 are on the same side. But 1 and 6 are on opposite sides, so we say those are alternate exterior. Okay? Now the transversal is the line that cuts across. Remember, that's what the word transverse means, to go across. And the other way to think about it is it's the line that touches both of those angles. So there's 3 lines up here. There's A, there's B, and there's M. Which one of those 3 lines hits both 1 and 6? M. Is M. So for 1 and 6, line M is the transversal. All right, let me get rid of all this. Okay, next one is for 13 and 16. Again, don't circle these on your paper because it's going to turn into a mess unless you can erase it real easy. But 13 and 16 right here. Okay, these angles over here have nothing to do with 13 and 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mimic just putting a piece of paper over those where I can't see that. Okay? So now, notice what happened here. This time we've kind of turned a different way. So this time now the interior is everything in here between those walls. So 13 and 16, are those interior or exterior? Interior. They're interior. They're between the walls. Okay? And now the question is, are they on the same side or opposite side of the transversal? Opposite. 13's on the left, 16's on the right. So they're on opposite side interior. So what do we call those? Alternate interior. And which line, A, M, or N, hits both of those angles? Is line A. Okay, good? All right, get rid of all that. Okay, next one is 10 and 7. So here's 10, here's 7. I'm going to cover this up because that has nothing to do with it. Make this easier to see. Okay, now there's the walls. So between here is the interior. So 10 and 7, are they interior or exterior? Exterior. They're exterior. They're not on the inside. They're not between the walls. Okay, so they're exterior, and are they on the same side or opposite? Opposite. Opposite. So what are they? Alternate exterior, and which one is the transversal? B. Is line B. Good. Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to go ahead and try to fill out the rest of this table. Okay, so 11 and 7 are right here. So forget about all of that. So 11 and 7, interior or exterior? Exterior. They're exterior, and are they on the same side or opposite side? They're on the same side, so they're same side, exterior. What's the transversal? Line N. All right. Next is 11 and 15. So forget about all those. Okay, 11, or, yeah, wait, is that 15? Yeah. 11 and 15, are those interior or exterior? They're exterior. They're not between the walls. And are they on the same side or opposite? So what are they? Alternate exterior. What's the transversal? Is line in. Okay. Next is 8 and 2. So here's 8, here's 2. Forget about all this. So 8 and 2, are they inside or outside? Inside. They're interior. Are they same side or opposite? They're on the same side. They're both on the left side of the transversal. So they are what? Same side. Interior. What's the transversal? It's line B. Okay. Now this last one. So 1 and 2. Okay, so it's kind of a trick question. Okay, so look at that. Is there one line that directly connects angle 1 and angle 2 together?
No.
There's not one line. There's not a transversal. There's not a line that goes across 1 and 2. So to get from 1 to 2, you would have to like go down this line and then go down this line. So they're not directly connected. So in this case, those 1 and 2 don't fit into any of the categories. There's no transversal, okay? There's not a line that hits both of those. There's not one line that hits both of those angles. And they don't fit into any of the categories. 1 and 2 don't. Okay? And I just wanted to put that in there because a lot of people make that mistake, especially like if it were 1 and 7. If I asked about 1 and 7, somebody nearly absolutely would say alternate exterior right there. And they're not. And the reason they're not is they're not connected directly by one line. So in this case, 1 and 7 wouldn't be. 1 and 9 would be alternate exterior, but 1 and 7 would not be. Okay, next thing, before we go to the back, I want you to get out the other paper, and we're going to measure some of these and talk about some stuff about these angles. What to do is to use your protractor and measure this angle right here. Use your protractor to measure that angle. All right. So about how big does that angle look? 118, 119, somewhere around there. Okay, I'm going to go with 118. 118 degrees. Okay, and then on this other angle, how big is this angle right here, this acute angle right next to it? A little bit more than 60, about 62 degrees. Okay, now we could measure this angle right here, but what type of angles are these right here?
Vertical.
They're vertical. What do I know about vertical? They're always congruent. So we could put our protractor on here and measure this, but I guarantee you it's just going to be the exact same thing as this angle right here. I mean, it's common sense, really. So it's 118 degrees, just like the vertical angle. Okay, and then with that same logic, how big is this angle right here? 62, because it's vertical to that one. Okay, what I want you to do now is I want you to measure this angle right here. Put your protractor on there and measure that angle. Okay, how big is that angle? Right there, it's hitting at 118 also. Okay, how big is the angle right next to it? .61, about 62 degrees. Okay, and then same thing, 118, vertical is going to be congruent, vertical is congruent, 62. Now, what I want you to notice here, okay, we talked about this yesterday. These two lines right here, what's up with these two lines? They're parallel. How do I know they're parallel? Because this little set of extra arrowheads that you see right there. Okay? And they don't like magically make them parallel, but it just indicates that they are parallel. And I drew this in the computer. They're exactly parallel. I guarantee you those two lines are parallel right there. So what I want to do now is I want to think about some of these pairs. So this angle right here and this angle right here, what are these? Yes, these are corresponding angles. Those are corresponding. Now we're going to use some inductive reasoning like we talked about last week. Like we're just going to go from a single observation to make a theory about this, but I mean I know the theory we're getting to is true. But okay, with these two lines parallel, what do you notice about these corresponding angles right here? What do you notice about these two numbers? They're the same, okay? So what math word do we use for that? They're congruent, okay? So we're just going to write it like this. We're going to abbreviate it big time. I'm just going to say this. Corresponding angles are congruent when the lines are parallel. Just write it down like that. Corresponding angles, because we're going to write this down again in a second, but corresponding angles, that's a symbol for congruent when the lines are parallel. This is not an 11. It means parallel. Okay, next, let's think about this angle and this angle right here. What type of angle pair are those right there?
Same side interior.
Good. Same side interior. Now, are those two angles equal? No. No. But there is something special that's going on with those two. What do you think is happening there?
Same plane.
118 plus 62 is what? Is 180. So what is it? What do we say about two things that add up to equal 180? What do we call that? Supplementary, right? Okay, these are same side interior. So I'm going to say it like this. Same side interior angles, and I'm just going to write add up to 180. We'll write supplementary in a little bit, or parallel. I mean, if the lines are parallel. Same side interior angles add up to 180 if the lines are parallel. Okay, and the other one that I want to look at is this one and this one right here. What are those right there? They're exterior. What type of exterior? Same side exterior. And so what's up with these same side exterior? They add up to 180 also, right? So same side exterior add up to 180 when the lines are parallel. Okay, let's look at this one down here. And let's just measure these together real quick. So I want to first measure this angle right here. So let's just look at it up here. So about how many degrees is that angle right there? Okay, I'm talking about the big obtuse angle here. So it's like 135, 136. It's kind of right between, we're going to say about 137 degrees. Okay, and then the acute angle right next to it, how big is it? Yeah, 44. We're going to say 43 degrees just to make it work with what we have here. Okay, now again, vertical angles. So this is 137. How big is this angle right here? 137. They will be equal. And then these two are vertical, so they're congruent. Okay, now let's measure this angle right here. Okay, how big is that angle? 137. This one is 43. This one's 137. This one's 43. Okay, now what I want to think about here is this angle and this angle right here. What type of angle is this angle and this angle? These are alternate interior. Now again, notice these two lines are parallel, okay? It's shown there. I drew this on the computer. I guarantee those two lines are perfectly parallel. So when the lines are parallel, what do you see about these alternate interior? They're congruent. So alternate interior angles are congruent when the lines are parallel. And then the other one, the other pair I want to look at is this angle and this angle right here. So what type of angles are these two? Alternate exterior. And what do you notice about those? They're congruent. So alternate exterior are congruent when the two lines are parallel. Okay, now let's flip it over and let's measure some more angles here real quick. So let's measure this angle. We'll just look at it up here. So how big is this obtuse angle right here? 130. And how big is the acute angle right here? It's 50. So this one's 130, this one's 50, this one's going to be 130, this one's 50 right here. Okay, let's go down here and measure this angle. Okay, this one's going to be,
130.
look, 130 is here. Where's this one at? About 112. Okay, and how big is this acute angle right here? It's a little less than 70, about 68. So we have 112, 68, 112, 68. Okay, now, how is this one on this side different than the two on this side? Good, exactly. On here, the lines were parallel. Here, the lines were parallel. On here, are these two lines parallel? No, it's obvious that they're not parallel, okay? And notice what's up here. This angle and this angle right here, what are these? What type of angle pair are those? They're corresponding. Now on the front, what do we say about corresponding angles if the lines are parallel? They're congruent, okay? That's what we said over here. See right here, the corresponding angles were equal. Are the corresponding angles equal here? No. Okay, so that's what I want you to see here, is if these two lines are not parallel, then the corresponding angles will not be congruent. The lines have to be parallel for those two angles to be congruent. Okay, what about this angle and this angle? What are these? Those are same side interior. And what do we say about those? They add up to 180. Do those two numbers, 130 and 68, add up to 180? No, they don't. Okay? So again, all I'm saying is the lines have to be parallel for all the stuff that we did on the front to be true. Okay, so now what I want you to do is to flip it over and let's look at the back. All right. So parallel lines are lines in the same plane that never intersect. Okay, the symbols used on figures to show two lines are parallel is by using an extra set of blank blank on the lines. How do you show two lines are parallel? Use an extra set of what?
Arrows.
Okay, good, arrowheads. Okay, like that right there, that right there. When you see that extra set of arrowheads, that indicates those two lines are parallel. Okay, so we're going to practice here. All right, alternate interior. I just want to shade some examples. So alternate interior would be like this angle and this angle right here. Okay, here and here. And whoops, and then like here and here. Now over here, what we're going to do is we're just going to write it out in words, what we just talked about on that paper where we were just measuring. So if the lines are parallel, then, and I'm going to abbreviate a bunch here, then alternate interior angles are, so go back to the paper we just did, where we were measuring. When those lines were parallel, what did we see about alternate interior angles? What were they? Yep. Congruent. They were congruent, which means they're equal. Okay? Next one, same side interior. So that would be like this angle and this angle. Be like this angle, this angle, this angle, this angle. Okay, if the lines are parallel, then same side interior angles okay, look back to what we just said on the paper where we just measured. Same side interior angles, if the lines are parallel, what did we see about those?
180.
They add up to 180. What's the word we use for that? Supplementary. They're supplementary. Okay, alternate exterior. So that would be like this angle and this angle. Be like this angle, this angle. Be like this angle, this angle. Okay. If the lines are parallel, then alternate exterior angles so again on that paper where we just measured and the lines are parallel, what did we see about alternate exterior? They are congruent. Yep. Okay, so what I want you to do now is go ahead and fill out those last two real quick for same side exterior and for corresponding. Okay, so one way to kind of remember the difference between these is, okay, same side interior and same side exterior. Notice that both of these start with an S. And those are the two that are supplementary, okay? So same side interior, same side exterior, they both start with an S. Supplementary starts with an S. That's one way for you to remember the difference. All the rest of them are just congruent to each other. Okay, so on your assignment here, let me get you started real quick. Okay. So on this first one, what type of angle pair are these two? Okay, alternate exterior, that's what I want there. And now if the lines are parallel, and they are, they've got an extra little set of arrowheads. What did we say about alternate exterior angles? They are congruent. So you can just put the congruent symbol on there like that. Okay? You can abbreviate on all this. So on this, what type of angle pair are these two? Same side exterior. And if the lines are parallel like these are, what do we know about same side exterior? They're supplementary. So you can abbreviate that as just SUPP.